I'm Joe from As the Joe Flies.
And I'm Leslie from Trips with Tykes.
And welcome back to Disney Deciphered. Apologies for the sound recording quality and also the video quality. I needed to record it in a closet because it is 110 degrees or so, or at least it feels that way in the area that I usually record in. Need to get some better ventilation in there. But Leslie and I are between trips right now and just catching each other really quickly. Obviously, a lot of announcements have been made. We have referenced it a few times already, but Genie Plus is going the way of the dodo and being replaced by Lightning Lane Multipass. In name, everywhere. In practice, in Walt Disney World, it's still going to be the same system. Basically, Max Pass, Genie Plus, Lightning Lane Multipass essentially have been the same thing at Disneyland for years and years and years. But they're changing the whole system at Walt Disney World. We thought about going over it, but we like to have a few data points before we start making bold claims about the system. So instead, we thought since it is summer and we keep wanting to have these fun episodes, Leslie, we thought we'd talk about the things we won't miss and the things that we will miss about Genie Plus. We hardly knew you.
That's right. That's right. So this is kind of a preview before we do our real 101 episode to get folks introduced to all of the changes and differences, and also to flag the things that we don't know yet, because that's kind of a big thing. We won't know a lot of these rules, the minutia, until we have a few days of data points and people start using it.
Yes. So we will hold that off until hopefully in August or something like that. I mean, Leslie, next year, okay, summer 2025, we're going to have to do a better job of scheduling. We need to share our calendars much, much earlier than we normally do. But, we've been having great summers and we hope you have been too. Because of our crazy schedule, we've had quite a few Patreon subscribers join in the last few weeks and I haven't had a chance to thank them. So, Leslie, who do we got and what is Patreon?
So we're thanking new supporters, Melanie H. and Liz. Patreon is just a way that you can support your favorite podcasters going to patreon.com/Disney Deciphered. There we have all sorts of extras for people who support, like our unfiltered episodes, our live trip reports, ad-free listening, and then membership in our Facebook group. So thanks so much to everybody who has supported us now and in the past.
Yes, thank you so much for your support. All right, so let's get straight into it. Originally, the idea that I come up with is let's come up with 3 things that we're not going to miss about Genie Plus, and then 3 things that we are going to miss about Genie Plus. Spoiler alert, Leslie, I don't know if this is Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know what is going on. We came up with way more things that we're going to miss about Genie Plus. I guess, familiarity does go a long way. Inertia goes a long way into our decision making here.
The devil you know, Joe. The devil you know.
Exactly. Maybe in a month we'll be changing our tune. We will see. I will say overall, I'm excited about this change. I'm excited about the system, but I was shocked. We just kept, as I'm sure you have surmised, Leslie and I, we have a running conversation on Facebook and via text, and we just over the last day or two, we just keep coming up with new things that we're going to miss. So instead of going one at a time, we're just going to start with all the things we won't miss first. And we were stretching a little to get to 3, but why don't you kick us off with the first thing that we will not miss about Genie Plus?
All right. I will not miss not having a set plan. For people who like to plan ahead, who like to know what their day is going to look like, what their vacation is going to look like, Genie Plus was not a good system, because this was like the wake up every morning and you don't know what ride you're going to ride first. And you've got to make a lot of decisions on the fly. And for people like you and me, Joe, that's actually probably pretty good on balance. But for people who are type A, which is also me, sometimes it's nice just to have the guarantee of knowing how you're going to start your morning and what your plan is. And you can do a little research. And once you get those lightning lanes set under this new system, then you can sort of plan around those, which I think gives a lot of comfort to a lot of people, because it is stressful feeling like everything's on the line at 7 a.m. and it could blow up in your face if your phone crashes and then your day's wrecked.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I realize we should, just in case people don't know, the gist of the change is Lightning Lane Multipass, this new system, is going to be more akin to the original FastPass Plus system that old time Disney fans know. It still costs money, which is a big difference from the Fast Pass Plus system, but you're going to be choosing 3 Lightning lanes in advance. And you're going to do that if you're staying on site 7 days beforehand. Leslie, I will be interested to see whether we're going to continue to say, with Genie Plus, we always said it's part art, part science, right? It's not, there's no like real algorithm. You have to really kind of feel the flow with it. It'll be interesting to see if Lightning Lane Multipass is going to be the same way. Now, this conversation actually made me remember another thing that I was going to text you that I'm not going to miss is staying on site really having no benefit for Genie Plus, Multipass, whatever stuff. Now, staying on site, you're going to have a benefit again that we lost post-pandemic in the Genie Plus era, because now you get a 4-day head start on everyone else. Not only a 4-day head start, you get a 4-day head start. You can book 7 days in advance if you're staying on site, and you can book for the length of your vacation, at least the first 7 days of vacation. Whereas if you're off-site or you're an annual pass holder who's staying off-site, it's 3 days in advance and you have to book day by day by day. So I won't miss having lost that advantage, and I'm glad it's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, we're people who always stay on site for the most part, so I guess this is a plus for us. But for families who, for budget reasons or for space reasons or whatever, who stay off-site for the most part, this, I guess, falls in the other column.
That's right. That's right. All right. What's the next thing we're not going to miss about Genie Plus?
This other one we're not completely sure about, but we're hoping this is the case. We're not going to miss the different pricing by park. That was something that was added to Genie Plus after, a couple of many months, actually more than a year of use. And then it got really confusing because you could buy for one park or you could buy for all of them. And then if one park sold out, then you couldn't buy all of them. It was just too complex. It added too many different things to the system. I think we're hopeful that that's going away, but we're not positive. I haven't seen anything definitive. Have you?
No, they haven't sent any official pricing yet. And, with that, there could be variable pricing. So park to park, obviously there's going to be variable pricing day to day. So we don't know about that yet, but hopefully that's gone. Yes, you could save a few bucks here or there, but like you said, it just made things more complicated than it needed to be. I mean, everything was more complicated than it needed to be, but this was like a cherry on top of a complicated mess, sandwich, whatever you want to call it. All right, my metaphor is falling apart, so I'll get to the last one. The real thing that we are not going to miss, and probably our favorite part of this change, is not having to wake up at 7 a.m. on vacation to book Lightning Lanes. Yes, maybe you'll want to wake up to book a virtual queue, but there's only 3 of those out there, and hopefully 2 quickly enough. And so just waking up at 7 a.m. on vacation. And then for me, I was just so paranoid. I would just like stay up till 12 too to buy Genie Plus on the day off. Like, not going to miss that at all. You may have to do it 7 days before your trip, but that's better than doing it on your actual trip.
That's right. And for those of us who live on the West Coast in Pacific time, then we now will have to wake up at 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 days before our trip. But, at the same time, I still would rather do that than wake up at 7 a.m. every single day on vacation and have that stress, like I was saying.
Definitely. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's talk about what we're going to actually miss about Genie Plus. And we got like 7 or 8 things here, Leslie. So why don't you kick us off?
All right, first things first. And again, this is an unknown a little bit, but I'm going to miss the price. And I say that because we know that the price is going to go up. I mean, it might not go up right away, right out of the gate, but Disney has been creeping this price up, really skyrocketing this price up over, every couple of times a year most of the time. So I am not optimistic that this is going to remain at the price it is today in mid-July 2024 for very long, for more than a few months. So I miss, this being a relative deal before every price increase.
Unless it gets to Express Pass levels, in which case you would support it, as we've said on this podcast.
That's right. That's right. I'm a jerk like that. So if it's really expensive, then it prices so many people out and it becomes a completely different product.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel like on balance, this is going to be a better product for most people. And that means that the demand is going to be higher. Supply is essentially the same, which even if, I don't know in what world this would exist, but even if Disney didn't already plan to increase the price. I feel like, with supply and demand. I mean, we saw it with Genie Plus a little bit. I don't think, I mean, they knew the price was going to go up, but, introducing that variable pricing that we talked about, all that stuff, like all that came out of like the demand and the product just not being good enough for what people were paying for it. And so I just think demand is going to drive these prices up faster than we want them to be. And so, yes, I will miss the pricing as it is now, even though at its max, it's $40 a day per person, which is crazy. But less said about that, the better. The next thing that we're going to miss is, and the more I think about it, the more I think this is going to hurt Lightning Lane Multipass users. I'm just going to call it Multipass from now on, close enough to FastPass. There are no character meet and greets on Multipass anymore. And, those used to be the most valuable Lightning Lanes because character meet and greets are so inefficient. Anytime you could cut down. Now, overall, it's going to be better. Check out the Defunct Land, the amazing Defunct Land, the Shape Land documentary about why stuff like Multipass causes the standby line to increase. It's going to be better in the standby line. That's going to be shorter, but still, like, I hate waiting in those lines. And with my kid, I'm going to have to do it. And so I'm going to really miss having that Lightning Lane for character meet and greets, especially the princess ones.
Yeah, I mean, not having that for Enchanted Tales with Belle, for the Anna and Elsa meet and greet in Epcot, especially if you have a kid like your youngest who is going to want to do all of those, that adds up to a lot of standby lines over the course of a vacation. So it was really helpful for a lot of families in a pretty narrow window of time to have a way to cut that. Like you say, the standby lines will be the better for it, but they're still not going to be short. I mean, those, I can still see those being 40, 60 plus minutes to meet a character. And that's not doable for a lot of families with like a 4-year-old.
No Enchanted Tales with Belle. Oh, I didn't even realize that. It hurts. It hurts. The other thing is, when my kids were a certain age, and even my daughter now, like, I could do a whole day at the Magic Kingdom and go on like one or two rides, and she would just happily go from princess to princess, and we'd be waiting like, 5-10 minutes in the Lightning Lane for it. That's no longer an option for us. This really cuts down the value of multipass for those families that don't ride as much. I know the Barnstormer, we make fun of it all the time, and it's a kiddie attraction, but like, you have kids who don't want to ride anything. They just want to meet the characters, and now, you're waiting in a 20-30 minute line, probably at least for each of the princesses if you're lucky.
Yeah, and I question whether Disney maybe is going to have something else in the works for these characters. Maybe not right away, but maybe later. I think I heard somewhere, and I forget where, that perhaps Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique would have a package where you would then get to meet a princess afterwards. So this is a chance for more upsells. I wonder whether, if there's anything new or popular enough that they could be, sell it as a Lightning Lane single pass, something like that. So again, price going to go up.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if VIP tours though are gonna be able to. Well, we'll see. Now that I was spoiled having taken one VIP tour in my life, I guess there is precedence for it that Anna and Elsa at Summer House, they have managed to go without a Lightning Lane there. However, cover your kids' ears if they don't want the magic broken. There are like 3 pairs of Anna and Elsa's in there. That can't happen at Princess Fairy Tale Hall in the Magic Kingdom. So, all right, what's the next thing we missed, Leslie?
The next thing we miss is not having FastPass style tiers. So you probably remember from the FastPass Plus days, there were the most popular rides that were in Tier 1. You were limited to selecting one of them. And then you got left with all the dregs as your remaining selections. That's back. So under the Genie Plus system, there were no tiers. You could get a lineup of only headliners. I mean, you would, of course, sort of be capped out realistically as to what you could get. But you could get, Slinky Dog Dash and Tower Terror, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, like all of those popular thrill rides as your only rides. And now if you're a family, especially thinking about my older teenager, she doesn't necessarily want to ride a lot of the kiddie rides. She'd rather ride every coaster, and that's not going to be possible under the new Lightning Lane multi-system, because you're going to pick one thrill ride and then 2 more of those sort of D-ticket rides.
Yeah, I feel like the Genie Plus only users, like myself, like I barely wait in standby, these days. If I can't get it on Genie Plus, I just don't do it. I think it's going to hurt. So let's take a look at Magic Kingdom, for example. Big Thunder Mountain, Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan, Space, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. For a second, I was like, oh, well, if you morning mad dash it, then, if you get a 9 a.m. for Peter Pan, then as soon as you ride that, you can get a new attraction and then but then I realized no, because everyone is going to take their tier ones. And so even if you get your tier one Peter Pan 9 a.m., if you're lucky, I mean, we'll have to see what it actually ends up being, but just kind of knowing the system, like if you're lucky, you can get Tiana's at what, 1, 2? Like you're not gonna get all 5. You're not gonna be able to run through all 5 tier ones from 9 to 12 a.m. like you were able to do under the old G Plus system. So the tier system really does hurt. One thing that will be interesting and I'm guessing that if your first attraction is not your tier one, then you can't even pick up a new tier one. Like you can't hold two tier ones at the same time. If you could, maybe that'd be good, but we'll see.
I've heard otherwise. Actually, I don't know where I remember seeing that. I think there's no tiering after the initial selection, but we need to confirm that. So that's a question mark.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, see, I'm already this is why we need this to happen so we can test it. And yes, Leslie, I'm already debating whether I'll just buy it and do it from home. Although I can't, because what I was just thinking was, well, if you get your tier 2 attractions at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. or whatever, I mean, ideally, another thing we don't know, and I will miss this if they take this away, but we don't know this for sure. Right now with Genie Plus, you can have overlapping time windows. Like we can have the same time window 9 to 10. We could have 2 rides in that. In the old FastPass system, it had to be 9 to 10 and then 10 to 11, right? But imagine if you could have 2 overlapping windows. You can have, I don't know, say Buzz Lightyear and Tomorrowland Speedway from 9 to 10, right? And then you have a tier 1 Tiana's for the afternoon. Then I imagine a scenario where like I can go ride on Buzz, then pick up, maybe I can afternoon stack those tier 1s. So, that would be a fun thing to test. I'm getting into multipass right now, Leslie, but just for the game.
Yeah, we don't know any of these things yet. Yeah, good luck. I mean, we don't know whether there's going to be any meaningful tier 1 availability for that 4th or 5th slot.
That's the worry. So, I mean, yes, I'm geeking out a little bit right now, but the tier is going away. We're going to miss, or the tier is coming. We're going to miss that. That is not a good situation overall. And, heavily implied here, but I'm really going to miss the flexibility. I guess it cuts both ways. There was a nice thing about Genie Plus where you could just kind of figure things out on the fly. And really, day to day, it's not bad to know what your plan is. But the flexibility that we're really losing out on with multipass is, what if it thunderstorms on the day that you had Big Thunder, Tomorrowland Speedway, I don't know, just outside rides booked. Now, because you're locked into multipass, I'm guessing there's going to be a system where you can like move it to another park. But what if you wanted to like switch your rest day? Right now, I can say, I'm going to be there for 5 nights. I have a 4-day ticket. I'm going to take a rest day. I'm going to use the weather to decide how I'm going to do that. They need some mechanism where you can move your multipass from day A to day C or something like that. If you lose that, you're really losing a lot of flexibility and you're just flushing money down the toilet, or you're forcing yourself to go to a park on a day where it's 110 degrees and you don't want to go, or it's thunderstorms all day, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to miss that flexibility. And yes, we're type A. We don't mind having our stuff planned, but there's something to be said for spontaneity as well.
Yeah, I really like that flexibility. Since park reservations have gone away, we've had so much flexibility for many months where you really can decide at 7 a.m., I'm going to go to Epcot today, or I'm going to go to Magic Kingdom today, and make that decision based upon the weather, based upon whether somebody in your family is sick, right? Think about things like that. There are a lot of things that can go wrong, or just a lot of needs that can arise over the course of a longer vacation, like people take at Walt Disney World, and you are going to lose that flexibility. Or at least you'll have that flexibility somewhat, but you will then get second choice rides, is what I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's going to be really hard to get, the tier 1, the Slinky Dog Dash that you really want, unless you're making it at 7 days in advance at 4 a.m. Pacific time, which is when I'll be making it. So, I mean, again, this is something that will have to wait and see how it shakes out and see how much extra inventory there is. But I'm not hopeful. I think you will have a lesser day if you have to change it up last minute. And hopefully you only have to change up maybe one day, right? But, you're still paying a lot of money for it and you get less.
Yeah, and shout out to Ryan Flanagan, who writes for Miles to Memories and moderates the Facebook group. He was saying basically this is park reservations again. And it nerfs park hopping a little bit because you're going to want to finish your 3 rides in Park A before you hop to Park B. So even though you can go before 2 p.m. now, practically it's not going to happen as much. So yeah, shout out to Ryan for making that point. Second to last thing that we are going to miss is afternoon stacking. I loved this. You can still afternoon stack. I mean, if you're flying in the morning, this is how I normally use afternoon stacking. If you're flying in the morning, I'll still have 3 attractions lined up, but they're not going to be 3 tier 1 attractions. I've said this many times, but I've rolled into Hollywood Studios. Yes, I could only get 4 using the 2-hour window, but I've rolled into Hollywood Studios with Slinky, Smugglers, Runaway Railway, and Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower Tower or whatever. Just like all tier 1 attractions. And we're not going to be able to do that anymore with the new multipass system.
You're still essentially getting a stack. You're getting 3, but like you say, it's not the 3 tier 1 attractions, and it's not 4 because you actually have to be in a park and redeem one to get that 4th as a possibility. So you do lose some stacking. I mean, this is a little bit niche, right? This is for those arrival days or maybe those sleep-in days. So not everybody's using Genie Plus this way, but I know you certainly did flying in from Boston pretty much every vacation.
Yeah, I'm going to do it on Thursday as we're recording this or thinking about it at least. And yeah, every day could be a sleep-in day when you had the afternoon stack, but maybe not so much anymore. All right, Leslie, the last thing that we're going to miss about Genie Plus, maybe a Disney Deciphered specific situation, but hit us up with our number 1 and to me the biggest thing I'm going to miss about Genie Plus.
So we're going to miss understanding all of the nuances of the system. And we will get there with Lightning Lane Multipass. No question, we will get there. But there is going to be a learning curve, and there's going to be lots of trial and error and lots of things to figure out and little nuances and rules to understand. So we had gotten to the point where we had deciphered Genie Plus, and now we're back at square one, understanding Lightning Lane Multipass.
Yes, it's always, I don't know, Leslie, every time these things change, it gets a little bit harder to get up for understanding the system again. And, I know we're here for the hashtag content, Leslie, but at some point we get a little bit tired. Although, as you probably picked up earlier in this episode, I am getting a little bit excited about figuring it out. But yeah, we knew Genie Plus like the back of our hands. We knew how to make the most out of it, and we're just gonna have to learn it with multipass. So I'm gonna miss Genie Plus. We had a good run, but it's time for out with the old and in with the new.
That's right. We're up for the challenge, more content, and we'll manage. All right, Joe. Well, let's close this out with our traditional Disney do or don't. But before I throw it to you, one thing I noticed that's going to be annoying: you say Lightning Lane Multipass, and I say Lightning Lane Multipass. How do you pronounce it? I don't know.
We're gonna need to consult Disney on this one. The official branding. I know everyone's really mad about people using Disney's official branding online, and we're shills for going with the official branding, but we're gonna have to figure out how to pronounce that correctly. So we're gonna have to hit up some of our contacts at Disney, which I bet you if we asked 5 different contacts, we get 5 different answers. Well, not 5, but you know what I'm saying. All right, my Disney do. This is a very specific Disney do. I suspect, July 24th, this goes live. So about a week and a half after you're listening to this, it's going to go live. And within the first couple weeks, month, this always happens. Someone's going to figure out some kind of loophole. And my Disney do is, if you hear of these loopholes, use them immediately. Just book a trip to Disney. Because these loopholes never last. Like, the second someone finds out the loophole, Disney knows about the loophole. The question is the loophole causing Disney enough friction to actually close it? Usually it takes them a couple months. So yeah, maybe my Disney do is And maybe we'll I'll say right now, we don't talk about the loopholes on Disney Decipher because we try to keep our content evergreen, and we could talk about a loophole and it could be dead the next week, right? We may talk about it a little bit on Unfiltered if we think of one and it's a lot of fun, or maybe in my trip reports, our trip reports, stuff like that. But if you hear of a loophole, go ahead, try it, use it, enjoy it while it lasts, and don't be sad for it being gone when it finally is gone. Just be happy for the times you had together. I guess a tangential Disney do is, if you're a nerd about maximizing these kind of things, if you book a trip before the end of 2024, you're probably going to get the chance to utilize a loophole if past is precedence in this situation.
Yes, that is right. Maybe I'll have to schedule a trip in the fall just to try and hopefully use a loophole. The other way you can be sure loopholes will go away, and Joe, you and I remember this very well, is write a blog post about it. And while you're editing the blog post, the loophole will go away.
Yeah, just to be clear, our reach has never been big enough to actually kill something ourselves.
No.
It is just, when we're in our draft phase of things, when we've recorded something but haven't released it yet, that's when the loophole will die. So, become a blogger. I know it's not the greatest time for bloggers in history. Maybe this will bring us back. The NP, I'll just call it NP for now, loopholes. It's gonna bring blogging back. It's gonna go viral again. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine how bad Google's AI stuff that they spit out is gonna be for the next year. Okay, so yeah, that's a Disney don't, right? Do not trust Google's AI summary of stuff for the next year at least. I mean, ever, probably, preferably. But I even find myself you're lazy, right? You just read what's at the top. That's why Google's so insidious about it. But that AI summary is going to be a complete mess for the first year because Google has to figure out the difference between the algorithm is going to figure out what the difference between multi-pass is, Genie Plus. We still every once in a while get stuff from the old FastPass days showing up in Google search results. So be careful out there.
Yeah, I think it'll stay wrong for a long time because Disneyland has the old system and Disney World has the new system. It regularly confuses Disneyland and Disney World systems when they have the same name. So don't Google. You need bloggers, people. You need bloggers.
And Disney Decipher. Keep it locked here, So great time to promote the blog, Leslie. I know that, I'm already setting aside time in the fall to get a guide up for you. But where can people find your work, Disney and travel related in general?
So I am tripswithtykes.com, at tripswithtykes everywhere on social media. Joe, where can folks find you?
You can find me at AsJoeFlies all over social media. If you are going to book a last minute trip in 2024 to go to any of the Disney parks, you can hit me up, Joseph Chung at travelmation.net with an M. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We are excited to see how this change goes. Excited and a little scared, but, it's always fun to learn new things. We really appreciate everyone listening. And for all of you, now's a good time to thank all of you who have listened to our Genie Plus 101 episode and relevant episodes over the last 4 years. We really appreciate all those clicks and all those listens, but time to say goodbye to those. I'm honestly debating just deleting them. Leslie, I like to leave things up for posterity, but I don't want to steer things wrong. We'll see how that goes. But thank you, everybody, for listening. And other than that, Leslie, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. And I will see you with a gigantic Google spreadsheet as we figure this out come July 24th.
Thanks, Joe.